Hi guys, it's ALCHEMY. How's everyone doing? Good, I hope. I just finished reading issue 10 of Nez Magazine. I am never going to get that pronunciation right. It's probably really easy, but every time I speak to someone, they say a different way and I don't know what to do. Anyway, I haven't done one of these videos for a long time, yet I still read this magazine. I have done videos on the previous 9 issues to this. I've also, just admitted to myself that I'm always going to be behind. I would love to be caught up and be reviewing the latest issue. I think we're up to 15, so maybe I'm catching up a little bit. And if you do see a couple more of these popping up on my channel, it's just me trying to catch up so I can just be OCD perfection in my own brain. Anyway, if you don't know what this magazine is, please go check out my other videos about it. If you're a perfume lover like me, which I'm guessing you might be because you're watching this video, this is a perfume lover's dream. It really does add so many layers to your perfume experience, your perfume journey, and I collect them avidly. They are beautifully illustrated, packed with information. Oh my gosh. If you're a person that learns very well by reading, I don't. I'm more of a practical kind of in front of my face, touching things learner. If you learn well by reading, you can get so much information from this magazine. It's amazing. Anyway, let's dive in. All I'm gonna do is kind of skim through and tell you, pull out bits that I found really interesting. It's different every time and it might inspire you to go check it out. I love them so much. Anyway, the main article in this one, if you couldn't tell from the lips, is about from the nose to mouth, or mouth to nose. Is that which way around was it? I can't remember. How does taste work and what does it have in common with smell? How are food flavorings created? What about fragrances with foodie notes? Can odors influence our eating habits? This 10th issue examines the affinities between our nose and our mouth, perfumery and cuisine. Let's go through. As always, there's a foreword by one of the editor-in-chief, Jandor, and an advert for Ganymede. Ganymede. Do we all love a no Ganymede? It's kind of been shoved down our throats, I feel. It's just a foreword. This one, I mean, Nez Magazine Nez Magazine normally has a lot of scientific and quite complex information, but it's really well balanced with super fun things as well. So it pulls you along and you're just, oh, that was a bit of heavy reading, but I did learn some stuff. And then you're like, oh, colour. There's a foreword that's from the editor-in-chief about the main subject of the magazine, but then you go into the main kind of repeated things that the magazine has. I really like here that there's an advert for Dreamwood. So the big perfume companies advertise in this magazine about the latest things that they've discovered, and this one's Dreamwood. It's by Firmenich. They're always discovering these new things, and apparently it's this beautiful replica of Mysore sandalwood, which is great because, Mysore sandalwood is over-harvested and not really available anymore. Anyway, straight beyond that, there's an advert from Maine, another big, fragrance flavorings house. So then we go into the scent of bars. It's all about the scents of bars, not just the drinks and the nice things, also about the bad things too. Champagne, alcohol fumes, funky breath. What is the olfactory environment of a bartender in Paris? And they interviewed 4 different bartenders that live in Paris in 4 different bars. And the bit I want to highlight in this, don't worry, I'm not going to talk about every single page. The bit I want to talk about from this section is from a guy called, hold on a sec, I've got notes on this. I made notes this time. Oscar Quagliarini. He works in a bar called the Herbarium in Paris. And this guy here, well, it's not this guy. Maybe that looks like him. I don't know, I've never met him. But this guy, he actually makes perfume-inspired cocktails. Great, I need to go to this bar if I ever go to Paris. And he made a fragrance based on Sable by Annick Goutal. So I'll read you a little bit about it. He said, I also translate perfumes into cocktails. For Sable, inspired by the Goutal fragrance, I associated a gin infused with Immortelle, because it's an Immortelle fragrance, squeezed lemon, a lime, a patchouli cordial. Why do people always text me when I am recording? No one texts me all day, all week, and then I record and it's dun, 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 dun. A gin infused with Immortelle, squeezed lemon, a lime and patchouli cordial, a red sandalwood and vanilla mousse, and crushed roasted hazelnuts. Who doesn't want to drink that? I hate Immortelle, but I'm so intrigued I want to try it. Always talks about icons, people that are contributing in an amazing way or have contributed to the perfume world. And who did I pick up from this one that I wanted to quickly talk about? Because one of them, it talks about Casanova. I mean, he is an icon, but no, maybe not for perfume. Ah, Century, these guys here. So there's two people called Maxime Borde and Thomas Epinas. These guys, they created a thing called the Century, and they wanted to document, you can go to it now if you look it up, it's called century.org. Wait, where are you? So they wanted to create an interactive platform that kind of documented raw materials and put them into their families. And it's a tree that you can zoom into multiple times over. So you can go into floral and then you go into rose, and then you can even click on things and look at its aromatic compounds or get information about how that actual thing smells. And that's a free resource. These are the sort of things that pop up in this magazine where I think all of us can learn from this. Us perfume lovers, some of us that maybe don't know much about materials, or even people that like me that does, there's always so much more to learn. So it's called the Century. They call themselves the virtual arborists. And that's the thing I really liked about this page, and I tell you guys to go and check it out. I tell you guys. As if I'm demanding like that. Yeah, it doesn't actually give you the website, but if you look up Century, like the word scent with re on the end, Century, you should be able to find it. So one of my favorite sections is always Odorama. It's 6 or 7, maybe no, 3 or 4 double page spread. They talk first about a molecule or a very specific thing. This time it was aldehydes. Aldehydes always really tricky in perfumery, so I was really glad to learn a little bit more about them. I know what some of them smell like, but it's one of those sort of perfume phenomenon things. What I did learn from this, and maybe one or some of you guys might be interested in, is the word aldehyde. Scientists discovered it in a lab when they were trying to dehydrogenate alcohol. They were trying to take hydrogen out of alcohol, and somehow in the whole big mess of it, they discovered this scent, this smell, or, you know, because aldehydes come from nature, but also it comes from science and labs. So aldehyde is alcohol dehydrated, or dehydrogenated, I should say. The name of it alone blew me away. I was like, right, okay. That's how it got its name. But it goes into so much stuff about aldehydes. Another thing I really liked about this aldehyde page was a section that says, do you like coriander? Or cilantro as it's known in other parts of the world, or America. In 2012, the biologist Nicholas Erickson and his team demonstrated that liking or disliking coriander is genetically predetermined. So there's a difference between you just not liking coriander, and some people can have an actual visceral reaction where it tastes like soap to them. I'm not one of those people. Yeah, I don't really like coriander that much. But yeah. Does it taste weird to you? Because if you do, or if you don't like it, it means that you have a particular type of olfactory receptor in your nose that is hypersensitive to aldehydes. They've even named the receptor that's in your nose. Coriander is rich in aldehyde C10 and 12, will make you taste as if it's a soap. Crazy. The other one is about laundry. You know how a lot of people take comfort in the smell of air-dried laundry out in the sun kind of smell. I know when I was a kid, I used to always go in the garden and just smell the bed sheets hanging on the washing line. They talk about how it's a magical effect of many different aldehydes that's in the detergent in combination with the sun that creates this magical effect that us humans find super comforting. Things like that I just find so fascinating. I love it. The next one was all about the fig tree. Look at these illustrations. It's like an adult colouring book. I love it so much. So much different perfumes that have fig tree, where it comes from, all of that stuff, the botanical side of it. Then we have the equestrian centre, and they always have a place. and they take the smells of a place. They've had a bar, they've had a gym, they had this classroom at school. This time it was the equestrian centre. So they give you a huge picture, and then they talk about the types of smells you might encounter at an equestrian centre, and go into what it actually is that contributes to them, like hay and having coumarin in it, and leather, and what makes that, and all of that kind of stuff. It's a riot. It's a pure riot. Then we have the section called Connections. They should call it the connection section. Oh, they missed a trick on that one. The next section is this guy, Luca Guadagnino. He is the film director. He made the film Call Me By Your Name, among many others. And it's about how he uses scent in his movies in a very subtle way. I mean, that's a scene from Call Me By Your Name, where, you know, if you've seen Call Me By Your Name, there's not much dialogue in it. It's more about the imagery, and there's the thing with Oliver's shirt and the smell of it, and it's an article about that, which is really cool. It talks about many different films that he's made and how he uses scent in that sort of way to try and reach out to the viewer. The next part was called The Middle East, Sillage as Adornment. And I found this article really insightful. It talks about the culture of fragrance in the Middle East, how it's much more than just spraying perfume on, how spiritual it is for people from that part of the world. It talks about the 4 pillars of perfumery in their culture: rose, amber, saffron, and rose, amber, oud, and Tonkin musk. And just, it really enlightened me on a lot of things, and I was really happy to read this because I deal with a lot of Middle Eastern people on a daily basis, and it just helped me to understand them a lot more, you know? It's a different culture to mine. I really like that. And it did actually come, this book, with this, which is a scratch and sniff. They usually come with a scratch and sniff. I hope they're still in the later editions, I'm not sure. But you scratched here, and yeah, the smell's gone. It's got some of the pages are just whole pages of photographs. So that is a building in the Middle East somewhere. Whoa. Then they come to a part where they always interview a specialist in their field. In the past, we have had someone that deals with tea. We've had a coffee one. We've had a beer brewery, some certain spices, I think. But now we're talking about champagne. And they talk to the owner of a vineyard. His name's Louis Brochet, and it's very in-depth about the production of champagne. What is this one? Oh my gosh, this bit didn't really make much sense, but it's about an artistic sculpture that they put in the central station of a place in Europe. Where was this place? I can't remember. But they built this huge structure that invited people to come and sit on your busy day in middle of this busy station and just to take a Zen moment. I'm not sure what that had to do with. Oh, because they filled certain parts of this structure with spices, different kinds of spices. So it gave you a sensory experience as well as a visual kind of, a nose experience as well as a visual experience. Sounds quite fascinating. Aromas and artwork is always a feature. They take, you know, an ancient famous painting and they dissect it about what's happening in the painting and what might be going on with the smells of that time. Then here there is a small piece of writing by Celine Eleanor called Hangover, and it's a fantasy one, or it might not be actually, and it's about her waking up after a party and being really dazed and confused, and the smells that hit her, and she tries to make her coffee but she can see the beer left there, and that's kind of how that went. Then one of my favorite parts of the magazine is always where they go to a particular plantation that harvests a certain material, and this one is about Guatemala and cardamom. You can see how gorgeous the photography is. I always try to point out because it just, I don't know, the photos are always just so nice. I love what they capture here, you know? It's just really gorgeous. It really takes you into the material somehow. So very in-depth about that. Then when I turned to this page, I did not know what was going to happen. But they always interview a master perfumer, sometimes 2 actually, within each magazine. By the way, it only comes out twice a year, so it's not like it's every month. But this time it was the turn of who? None other than my beloved Mr. Ropion. Can you imagine how excited I was when I saw that it was Dominique Ropion as an interview? Oh my God. Not going to talk about it too much, but I will say two things about this, and I'm going to read you a tiny bit because he's quite elusive. I don't really know much about him. So it was great to see an interview with him. He is my favorite dude in the perfume world. So the first thing I loved was, you know, he made Is Artist by Givenchy when he was 27. Excuse me. To make such a legendary perfume at the age of 27, you're already like on your way. Anyway, the bit I wanted to read to you the most was a bit where he talks about Carnal Flower, because, you know, it's such a great perfume by him. I mean, he's got tons, but Carnal Flower is one of, for me, the best tuberoses ever. And what he says really just drew me a little bit closer to him because he's just a genius. So he says here, this is how he made Carnal Flower, okay? Any Carnal Flowers out there? Listen. He said, playing on tuberose as a major theme in a composition that wouldn't be figurative and that wouldn't resemble other classics like Fracas. The specifications Frederick Malle had given me were tricky. Tuberose immediately marks a composition and can quickly hem it in. You know, tuberose is a diva. It usually takes over whatever it's in. You can just feel it, okay? To give it a new identity, I relied on my intimate knowledge of the flower's construction. I bolstered its lactonic, spicy orange blossom facets and played with an essence seldom used in fine fragrances, eucalyptus, which has one molecule in common with tuberose, eucalyptol. Ozonic notes, orange blossom and neroli lighten the blend. And this is my favorite part. He says, it's by diving into the heart of the flower that I was able to break free from it. I like the paradox. So, yep, Dominique Ropion. Then we have a section on the 30s. They always do a decade. They're going to run out of decades soon. Talks about trends, what was happening in the 30s in the perfume world. You get the gist with some, usually it has some great old adverts that I really enjoy looking at. Things like this. That's a Caron advert, I think. Yeah, another Guerlain advert here. Just super cool. Oh my God, I just love it so much. Then there's an advert for Cécile Zarokian. This bit made me laugh because there's all these adverts for like maybe perfumes or big giant companies, and then you have an advert for a perfumer. I don't think Cécile Zarokian needs to advertise herself. I'm sure there's lots of people that want to work with her, but yeah, she's great. I mean, she's made some great things. So that bit kind of made me chuckle. The fantasy perfumery, it's where it's a fantasy where long gone celebrities are walking into a, you know, perfume boutique and they choose a perfume for them. I was happy because I saw Walt Disney on this one and I like him. They chose an Andy Tower perfume for him. I think Harry Potter was in here as well. Oh no, Harry Potter was in the last one. Yeah, anyway, that was really fun. Then we have the main article, which is the most complex, packed, lengthy thing, which I'm gonna skim across. So our palate has a nose goes into the biology of what actually happens when you eat. And what I found most surprising was when we eat stuff, 80% of what we think we're tasting, we're actually smelling. I found that kind of creepy, but cool at the same time. Then there's a section called Cuisine in Motion. This is a discussion with a guy called Patrick Rambourg. He's like a culinary historian, and they talk about past and trends and when did nouveau cuisine come into play. The bit here that really creeped me out was the interviewer asked him, you know, in the perfume world, there are many ingredients that get banned for certain reasons. Is there anything that's kind of banned or just not really used anymore in the perfume world? In the food world, sorry. And he says, yeah, blood. Blood used to be an actual ingredient in many, many things. I'm sure it's still used in certain things. I know us guys over here in the UK, we have a thing called black pudding, and it's actually made from pig's blood. So there's that. But it was much more commonly used to have it like a blood soup or something. Let's move on, okay? Then there's one here called Embodying Good Taste. Look at this image. Love. This one talks to flavorists. So people that, I guess, add artificial flavors to things maybe. I can't remember. There's like, talk about strawberry. Different cultures as well and what different cultures like to eat. It says here, the Spanish want a strawberry flavour that is green and fresh, whereas Germans prefer it to be creamy and jammy. The French like it somewhere between the two. Then we have the weight of smells. Yeah, it touched on eating disorders. Quite a controversial subject and really upsetting actually, and how what goes on in the brain and the sense of smell when someone has a eating disorder. And that part was, I will say, of all of the 10 magazines that I've read from Nez Magazine so far, this main article, in all of these articles about the nose to mouth, has been my least favourite to read about. But all of the other stuff around it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's still fun in other ways. Perfumes from tongue to skin. What was this one now? Oh, it's talking about gourmand, the never-ending need for gourmands, and even now the rise of gourmands again. Do we need to satiate our hunger with these smells? There's so many questions they ask. It's really interesting. I loved that one. And then we're coming towards the back. Can we talk about fragrance? I personally love this one because it kind of related to me a lot. So it talks about how perfume writing is going down, and nowadays with influencers and TikToks and all of these things and moving images and the difference in the way we talk about perfume now. It's obviously, I mean, it's just technology advancement really, but I just liked their insight into it. And I liked this little thing here. It's got a timeline of eau de cologne. They always have some sort of timeline, whether it's chypres and what happens and the way it veers off. Yeah. Then I did not expect this either, and I was super happy. They did an article on Naomi Goodsir. Wow. If you don't know who she is, her brand is amazing. It's a very small, humble brand that are making incredibly crazy cool perfumes. I touched on one of them in my challenging video recently, which was called Nuit de Bakelit. Oh, so great. I mean, really, really good. So then there's a big chunk at the back, which is scent selection. And Nez Magazine picks 30 perfumes, I think it is. It goes on for a while. Things that are kind of out at the time, and they have many different people review them. Then towards the back, we're getting closer to the back, guys, don't worry. There's an article about Firmenich. Huge leading fragrance and flavorist company. It's their 125-year anniversary coming up, so they interviewed one of the CEOs of it. Then you've got events and stuff like that. And the last tiny part is this. A lot of the times when Nez Magazine is released, they also release a perfume with it. I have never been in time or aware enough to buy the magazine when it comes out with the perfume. I think you can go back and buy it with the perfume. I'm not sure. They always release a perfume with each issue, which is only twice a year, as I said. So this entire back part is about the collaboration between this filmmaker, artist, writer, and the perfumer who made the perfume for this issue. This part was quite long. It's about their meeting, their discussion, their consultations, just their relationship, how they built it, and how they ultimately landed on the perfume that was made for this one. And then right at the very back, there's a tiny bit about Iran and roses, and it's got about the perfume they made. This is the piece of art by the lady that collaborated with the perfumer. And then finally at the back, there is a little tiny Smelling Time Go By Alexis Troublant. I'll leave that one to you. It's a tiny little article, and it's about how perfumes are not just instant, it's about time. It's about letting them develop over time. It's about them changing over time. Time and perfume and all of those things related. I have to leave something for you guys to read, right? Anyway guys, I hope you liked this video. That was my little overview skim through. I hope it wasn't too long. I'll probably edit quite a lot of it out because I can talk. I can really talk. About Nez Magazine. It's such a cool thing. If you don't know about it already, look up where you can buy it near yourself. If you're a perfume lover, it takes me months to read one. That's why I don't do them so often. It's just too much stuff in there. But yeah, as I said, it can really add a layer to your perfume journey. If you're curious about many things or want to know about your favorite perfumer, I'm always surprised by them all the time. I love it. Anyway guys, I hope you like this video. I'm out on my nose, trying to make the world smell better, one video at a time. I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.